Good morning, welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. It's an absolute massive. We do have the game this weekend, Aberdeen, the Scottish Cup, the final game of the season, which is a tremendous occasion. The weather looks like it's Scottish here today, but there's a lot of transfer speculation kicking around us now. One interesting fact about Arnie Engels and Luke McCowan. And when you look at the stats of them, they're actually pretty close as players. Luke McCowan is a fantastic player in his own right, but Arnie Engels cost £11 million. Arnie Engels is a player who's been linked to that Italian team that was linked with Matt O'Reilly. And we all know what happened with that. They ended up not going to the Italian team, but sold for £25 million down south. But when you look at the stats, we're going to talk about Arnie Engels in a minute. But the Luke McCowan has played 40 games for Celtic this season so far. He scored 7 goals and he has 9 assists. Arnie Engels has played 51 games for Celtic, 11 more. He scored 10 goals and 13 assists. Interesting facts, isn't it? But anyway, Arnie Engels, talking about the speculation. If you have a good season, he said, there will always be speculation. But I'm focused on Celtic. Arnie Engels has dismissed talk about the summer move to Atalanta. This summer says that he's focused on improving with Celtic next season. The 21-year-old, who still has 3 years of a contract to run, says the only thing in mind is the Scottish Cup final. After that, I'll be ensuring that I'm ready for playing for Celtic next season, and I want to be even better. If you have a good season, he says, and hopefully you win a lot of things, and that's why I came to Celtic, to win things. There will always be clubs and speculations around players. I think I'm not the only one that will have speculation in the summer. I'm just focused on the here and now and on the next game. It's a really big one. And then in the summer, I want to get better. There's always a lot of things to get better on. Also, as a team, we still lost some games. We don't want to lose any games next season. Interesting that they've been talking about that already. They want to beat Brendan Rodgers' first team of the Invincibles. That's apparent. That's a big statement from Arnie Engels. We don't want to lose any games next year. That's a massive statement of intent going into next season. Arnie Engels then went on to say, I think there will be a lot of work in the summer and what we need to do, what we need to get better at, and hopefully a better season next year. How can you get any better of a season? Let's face it, we're on the cusp of winning a treble. We've got into the Champions League and got to almost the knockout phase. We were minutes away going into extra time in the Champions League game. For me, it's exciting as anything. It's absolutely fantastic that Arnie Engels is talking about going into Europe and doing better. Hopefully we can compete for all three trophies again, like we did this year. And then we'll see where we end. Having fun, having a full season and having to adjust to life in Glasgow, and taking his game to the next level. He says, once I'm more settled and more relaxed, you become more aware of everything that you need to do. That will be the case next year. Arnie Engels is going to be a phenomenal player for Celtic. People have been going on about his transfer fee all summer, saying that he's not good enough. And you know, he's only 21-year-old. And when he's talking like that, when he's talking about not losing a game next season, that's thrown down the gauntlet. That is thrown down the gauntlet already. Brendan Rodgers obviously sets targets. We all know this. They set targets for the season. And talking about this already, I mean, this is usually chat for pre-season. And Arnie Engels then went on to say, it's up to me to work hard in the summer and then we'll see where we are. It's a big aim for me to do better than this year. I did well this year, but I also want to do even better next year. I want to make a lot of steps in my football career. That's an interesting one. He obviously wants to improve for this Champions League level, and he also, to come out with that statement that you don't want to lose a game it must put the fear into other teams, and it just shows you the level of expectation that this current squad of players has at the club, which I think personally is absolutely fantastic. And it is going to be a massive summer for Celtic, because we're going to go into the transfer market and we need to bring in a striker. Now, one striker that's been linked with Celtic for many, many years by the sounds of it, and we all know who it is. It's Matthias from Brøndby. But he has had a very interesting interview, and we know that Celtic did try to get him in the last transfer window, but we were priced out. They put an a highly inflated transfer fee on his head because they didn't want to lose him before the end of the season. But now Matthias has turned around and said, I'm ready. And is it a come and get me plea to Celtic? Will Celtic go back in for the player that they've tried on so many occasions to try and get to Celtic? We've went the second half of the season without a recognised striker. We've used Daisen Maeda as a striker. He's not at Celtic as a striker, although he is used by Japan as a striker. But the Brøndby lad, Matthias, is confirming that he will be on the move this summer. He says, I'm in a position where I don't know where I'll be living in 3 months' time. He scored 17 goals in 28 league games last season and for Brøndby. He told a Danish Sport TV2 that he's ready. I've made my mark at Brøndby, he says. He says, I'm ready to take the next step. It can never be ruled out about moving. I don't think that it's a goal for me just to stay at Brøndby. I'm in a situation where I've no idea where I'll be living in Denmark or another country in 3 months. It will be exciting to see what happens. I'm really looking forward to it. It's interesting. When you think of the players that we have at Celtic that have played for Denmark, most recently Matt O'Reilly, Erik Zinchenko, currently Kasper Schmeichel, Thomas Gravesen. Do you remember him as a player? He was absolutely bonkers, wasn't he? Morten Vikhorst. How could you forget Morten Vikhorst? Absolute legend of a player. And Mark Rieper, going right back to the season where we stopped that season. But anyway, will he be the striker that we go for this summer? If Celtic are still looking for him to come to the club, it shows a lot of commitment. And it's not often that Celtic follow through with such a long-term strategy of trying to get a player to the club. Will it be the fact that he could move to Germany? Will it be the fact that Celtic will finally get their man? Brendan Rodgers will finally convince him to come to Celtic. And if it does, what does it say about the striking department? What does it say about Johnny Kenny? Will Johnny Kenny get punted out on loan to, I don't know, maybe an SPFL club next season? Will he be put on loan to Dundee? Will he be put on loan to Dunfermline? Will he be put on loan to Scott Brown's team? Wherever Scott Brown may be. He might be on the move this summer, but we don't know. I think Scott Brown might stay at his club, but it's going to be an interesting few weeks, that's to say for sure. When it comes to the game this weekend, it's absolutely massive. Cameron Carter-Vickers saying, look, the work's not done yet. It's an important game this summer, this weekend, before we even head off for the summer. I'm a little bit nervous. I've got to admit, I am a little bit nervous. A lot of people are saying it's going to be a complete walkover this weekend. I don't think so. I think that the worst thing that could have happened up in Aberdeen a couple of weeks ago is the fact that our reserves absolutely demolished the Aberdeen team. When you look at the way that we played the final game of the season at Celtic Park with mostly the first team players, were they in party mode? Were they in let's not get injured for the final mode? Were they thinking about their futures and leaving the club, some players? Or I think Greg Taylor was in that game, to be honest. The last game of the season at Celtic Park, he wasn't as effective as he has been, and he was kind of sitting back a bit, and he's in the position that Kieran Tierney is going to take over from. But anyway, when we talk about the Aberdeen game this weekend, I think it may be closer than what you think. Tell me what you think your score predictions are. Give me an early score predictions in the comments right underneath the video. Make sure that you like and share the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, because I see that there's thousands upon thousands of you that watch these videos that aren't subscribed to the channel. We are trying to get to 22,000 before the end of the season, and that's this weekend. Can we do it? Oh, look at that number up there, 21,825. come on, give me some love. It's the end of the season. It's been a long slog this season. It does bring down the curtain on an absolutely fantastic season, and it's an honour to sit here and talk about Celtic on a daily basis. And it was absolutely fantastic to meet so many of you when I was back home for the final league game of the season, something that I will be doing a lot more of next season, even though it cost me a bloody fortune. But anyway, it is what it is. It's going to be a big summer in the transfer market for Celtic. Tell me what players that you think that we need in. How many players do you think that we need to make the club better? Brendan Rodgers has already identified 3 positions that he wants to improve, and that's without letting any players go. The situation with Rio Hatate is going to be fluid all summer, just like his knee. Dyson Maeda, he's at that age, 27-year-old. Brendan Rodgers talking about that age, 27, the last big contract. You're at that age where you want that big move. Was that telling us that it's going to be a funny summer for the Celtic in the transfer market? Talking about getting away for a couple of weeks holiday, Brendan did say that, look, I'd love to switch my phone off, but I can't. I'll still be there. I can decide when I answer calls and when I get back to people. But ultimately, I'm not going to be switching the phone off for a couple of weeks when he heads to his holiday home in Mallorca. And Brendan, if you're watching, the weather's been terrible recently, mate. It's been terrible. It was absolutely boiling yesterday. It was 30 degrees, and then the rain come over, and again. So UK, can we have our Spanish weather back? Brendan, bring it with you. And if you are in Mallorca, give us a shout, Brendan, and let's do an interview during the summer. That would be fantastic, eh? If I manage to do that, I'll just nip over. It's only a half-hour flight, Brendan. Just Alicante to Palma. It's easily done. Come on, let's do it. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.